What's up, everybody? Welcome to the KaveMan Aquatics live stream. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for being here on time. Especially thank you to you guys that were here nice and early. I love when you guys get here early, start chatting it up. Today's topic, guys, we're going to cover real quick the reasons why I no longer vacuum my substrate, the how and the why. We're going to cover it. I know it's going to be a little controversial. But I'm going to tell you my reasons why. You guys give me your feedback, and maybe we could all learn something from the topic. But first, let me thank everybody that's been here. I'm scrolling all the way to the top of the chat for you early birds that been here. Let's see who was here right on top. Vibes Aquatics got here, #1. Appreciate you being here, Vibes. Renee's in the house. Jules is here. Patrick, Stuart, my man John, Los Angeles Cichlid is here. Z-Man made it. Thanks for making it here, Z-Man. Who else is here? Let me see. Luis Blanco's here nice and early. Z-Man, I think I said Z-Man. Daniel Jeffries got here nice and early. My man Daniel is here. Oink Master Supreme. I love that name, Oink Master. Welcome, welcome. My man Stuart Blake is here nice and early. Who else got here nice and early? Doug Metcalf. What's up, Doug? Matthew Fryer got here early. Let's see. A bunch of you guys here. Luis Blanco. I think I said that one. Carlos Amador from California in the house. Welcome. Who else is here? Kim Possible is here. What's up, Kim? Thank you for coming. Adam Fears. Jeff Thompson in the building. My man Jeff, the mad scientist, the Ace Ventura, the veteran fish keeper is here with us today. Thank you for all you guys for being here nice and early. And if you guys are here catching the replay, I thank you for watching the replay as well. Make sure that you comment down below, Replay Squad, so that I know for sure that you guys were here during the replay and I can thank you the right way. Okay, guys, let's get right into the topic. Let me get back to the bottom of the live here. Everybody making sure that I'm looking good. New to the channel. Okay. I don't see no complaints. I don't see nothing about echoes or anything like that. So I guess we're good to go. It's a good thing I set up early today, guys, and got all those gremlins out of here. So let's go over the topic today, guys. Today's topic. Let me get rid of this real quick. I don't want you guys having to stare at that all the time. Bam. Okay. Today's topic, guys. We're going to talk about the substrate, my substrate, and why I no longer have to vacuum the substrate. Now, first, real quick, let's go over the point of vacuuming your substrate, right? Obviously, when poop, waste, dead plants, any kind of debris builds up on your substrate, that's not a good thing, right? We got to get it out of there. For the rest of this live stream, I'm gonna call all of that detritus. Okay, detritus is all that stuff: the poop, the dead plants, the extra food, uneaten food that gets stuck and trapped all over the bottom of your tank. All of that is gonna be called detritus. So the reason why we want to get rid of all that detritus from our tanks, there's multiple reasons, right? Here's one. We know that stuff, when it's in the tank, it looks dirty, right? We don't want to see all that stuff. Our tank looks ugly, so we get it out. There's way more reasons than that. We know that stuff causes cloudy water. That's going to cloud our water up when it's in there. And also, having excess detritus in your tank could also cause ammonia spikes. You can also grow heterotrophic bacteria in your tank, which can cause bacterial bloom. And nobody wants that in the tank. That's ugly too. So for all these reasons is why we all are aware that it's a good thing to vacuum our substrate, get all that stuff out of there, right? Now, let me ask you guys real quick a simple question. Why do we have filters? The reason for the filters are to remove that waste from the tank, right? And keep the water nice and clean. Well, by vacuuming our substrate, what we're doing is basically doing the filter's job. We're taking away from what the filter's supposed to do, and we're doing the work for it. So we should try to come up with another solution other than vacuuming the substrate and getting that stuff out and basically moving the filter off to the side and not worrying about it because it's not doing its job properly. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's not doing its job properly because a filter can only do what it can do, right? The intakes are where they are. And if this detritus doesn't make its way to the intakes, then the filter can't do its job. So it's not really the filter's fault. And that's why we go in and we vacuum. But now, if we think of another solution, besides just manual labor and going in there and vacuuming that stuff out, let's think of the flip side of it. The other solution would be, how about we don't let that stuff accumulate to begin with? How can we do that? Because then we get the same results. We won't have all that stuff on our substrate. No bacterial bloom, no cloudy water, no dirty looking tank. But we have to first eliminate that stuff from our substrate and not let it accumulate. So let me tell you about my tank. I want to show you guys right now my tank real quick. I try to give you guys the best view of my substrate. As you can see, guys, my substrate is super clean. There is not one speck of detritus on my substrate. Yes, there is a little bit of diatoms right there, a little brown piece under the substrate. That's okay. I don't worry about that at all. It's growing underneath the substrate. Doesn't bother me at all. When I actually do my water changes, I go in there with my glass scrubber and I just scrub that stuff off. It comes off right away. But on the surface of the substrate, guys, if you look at it, there's no waste, there's no nothing, no detritus on there. And I'm going to attribute all of that to my wave maker, guys. I know you guys that follow the channel know how big I am with wave makers, and wave makers have much more benefits than just this, but we're not going to cover everything in this stream. I'm just going to stick to the reasons how beneficial it is to get rid of all your detritus from your substrate. I give the wave maker 100% credit. Why? The wave maker is what is going to allow the constant motion in the tank of water flow. That water constantly flowing, constantly moving in a circular pattern. It doesn't allow for any detritus to get trapped. And that's what our solution should be, right? The reason why all of our detritus stays in the tank is because it's trapped in a dead spot and it can't find its way into your filters. The wave maker solves that problem. By constantly keeping the water moving, it's also constantly keeping all that detritus moving. And you would think that's counterintuitive, right? Because you would say, I don't want all that stuff floating around in my water. Well, actually you do, because the more that it floats around in your water, the more chances of it finding your filter intake, and then the filter can do its job. Instead of us handicapping our filter and doing the work that the filter can't do, we should help our filter. The wave maker is going to help move all of that detritus to the filter intake so that the filter can do its job. Now, guys, this tank, I'm telling you, I didn't just do a water change. I didn't just clean my tank. This substrate looks the way it does after about 4 months of not vacuuming my tank. And you guys can do the homework. Go in the channel and go look at the last video that I did about vacuuming. And it was probably even more than 4 months ago. I have not vacuumed this tank for more than 4 months. Now, I do all my other regular maintenance. I do my water changes every week. I scrub my glass every time I do my water changes. But vacuuming, it's been over 4 months, guys. Not lying to you. I have not vacuumed that tank. Now, granted, let's take that with a grain of salt. I know my tank, let me show you the tank again. I don't have a whole bunch of decor in my tank. So there's not a lot of spots for the detritus to get trapped in, right? If you have one of those tanks with a whole bunch of decor, or if you have a very heavily planted tank, yes, for you, it might be a little bit different. It still might be difficult to get that detritus moving and get it out of there. So in my case, because I don't have that much decor, it's super easy for the wave maker to make sure no detritus is ever trapped in the tank. It keeps it moving and gets it out of there. So where I was going with this, the wave maker moving all that stuff out, because I have very little decor, nothing gets trapped there. This much time that I've spent without vacuuming, my water never has any ammonia spikes. My water doesn't get cloudy. I don't have any problems that coincide with detritus being in your tank, and I haven't vacuumed it. So what does that tell you? Now, when I do my water changes, and you guys that follow the channel know that I do 80% water changes, when I do bring that water level all the way down to only 20% left in the tank, I do see a bunch of detritus floating around in that water. Why? The water level's so low, the fish are down at the bottom of the tank, and they're kicking up all that stuff. They're moving the sand around, they're swimming really close to each other, and they're kicking up everything that's maybe just under the surface of the sand, or whatever might still be trapped somewhere. They're kicking it all up. But again, I've thought, here's how it happened for me, guys. That very first time that I guess I was lazy that week. I was doing my maintenance. I was doing my water change. And I felt a little lazy. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to vacuum this week. I'll leave it for next week, right? but I saw all that stuff kicking up when the water level was really low. So I left it alone. And then the week went by, and all of a sudden I realized, where did all that stuff go? It's all gone. None of that stuff is in the tank. And it's because my wave maker got it out. But here's what I'm trying to say. It's a good thing that while the water level is that low, they're kicking all that stuff up, because just like the wave maker, now the fish are kicking all that stuff, freeing up all that detritus, putting it into the water column, so that when I refill the tank, all that stuff now is floating around all over the tank. And again, same reason, it will eventually find its way to the intake. So even if you do a big water change and you see all that stuff on there, it's still not necessary to do a vacuum. Fill up your tank with brand new water. You may think, oh, I'm doing a water change, but I'm leaving the tank dirty. If you've got a wave maker positioned correctly, then it is going to do the job of keeping the water moving and get that stuff out of there. So that's how I haven't bothered to vacuum my tank in over 4 months. Now, what was the other point I was going to make? Think about the reasons. How can I rephrase this? Okay, a wave maker is not just like, all right, let me just get a wave maker, let me throw it in, it's going to make my tank clean. Cool. No, that works. It works great for us in our maintenance, what we need done in our maintenance. But remember, it's the fish that need to live in that tank with that wave maker. They need to deal with that wave maker. So don't just go out and buy a wave maker and throw it in there at full power, full blast to keep your tank clean. You need to do a little bit of research on your fish and first make sure that your fish will be okay with a wave maker, right? There's some fish that do not like heavy flow and heavy current. Right off the top of my head, goldfish, discus, what's another one? Angelfish. Those fish like calm, still waters. So you're not going to go and put a wave maker in a tank like that, you know, an overpowered wave maker in a small tank, and then your fish are blowing around the tank. That's not good. It's going to keep your tank clean, but your fish are not going to be happy with that. So if you have fish like these African cichlids that absolutely love a good current and a good flow in the tank, then yes, I implore you guys, try a wave maker, position it correctly, check out the surface of my water, and you see how much waves are being blown on the surface. That's the wave maker and a little bit of the filter output helping out behind that rock right there. You can't see it, but those are the multiple benefits. Now, hopefully my moderators are on board. My man, Patrick, I just saw it, Patrick. Perfect. If you want to know all the benefits that a wave maker brings, Patrick already posted that link in the chat. Go check that video out after the stream. Not right now, guys. Stay right here with me. If you guys enjoyed that information, found it helpful, and are willing to try it, make sure you guys smash that like button. Go hit that like button right now so this video goes out to more people. We get more people here in the stream. Okay, guys, that's the topic. And if you have any questions, if you want to try it but you still don't feel comfortable, let me know. Send me an email. I'll walk you through it. Okay? But trust me when I tell you guys that if everything is correct in your tank, position of your wave maker, your decor is in the right kind of spots, the right amount of decor, and your fish enjoy that current, you could also keep your substrate looking just like this without ever having to vacuum. Over 4 months, guys. All right. That's the topic, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to get right into the Q&A because there's a whole bunch of people here and I love it. But first, before we do the Q&A, you guys know I got to thank the sponsors. The sponsors are the same every time we do a live stream, guys. Me, KaveMan Aquatics, we sponsor the channel here. I have a great ebook and paperback book on how to get and keep crystal clear water. The ebook is $5. The paperback is $10. If you have problems keeping cloudy water, I implore you, just go get that book. Even if it's the ebook, $5, go get it. And if it didn't help you, it's a 30-day money-back guarantee, guys. Just let me know. Send me an email. It didn't help you, I'll send you your $5 back, no problem. And if you do get the book and it does help you out, do me a favor, leave a review either on Amazon or on Shopify, wherever it is that you get the book from. I got it on sale all over the place. But leave me a review so I know that you guys enjoyed the book. Next thing, you guys know that I have African cichlids. And if you're interested in African cichlids or you need help with your current African cichlids, I have a great free webinar with the top 3 secrets to keeping African cichlids. Is going to be very helpful for you if you're brand new to African cichlids. And at the end of the free webinar, I'm letting you guys know right off the top. At the end of the free webinar, yes, I do have a full paid course. You have the option to buy the course with a great discount, with a great discount that you get at the end of the free webinar. You get, I believe it's 20% off the full entire course. If you choose to buy it, there it is. Last but not least, guys, we have a membership here in the channel. For those of you that see those loyalty badges on some of the members' names here in the chat, you get those loyalty badges by becoming a member. You can also use some cool emojis. One of you members throw out some cool emojis to let everybody see what those emojis look like. You get those that you can use here in the stream or in any video. And we also do, for Tank Boss levels, we do members only live stream twice a month. We get on here, do the same thing that we're doing right now, but it's a smaller group of us. And I can pinpoint each and every one of your questions. I get to every question and I answer everybody, and we have a whole bunch of fun doing it. So check out that membership. It's the best way to support the channel. All right, guys, let's get it. Favorite part of the whole live stream, the Q&A. Let's see. I already see a few members got here. We got a new member, Anthony Y. the second. Welcome to Little Fry, Anthony. Thank you for becoming a member. I love that. Got another Kevin Barnes, member for 2 months. Tank Boss. Okay. He got a nice little highlight. I think that's a new feature of the membership. You highlight how long when you upgrade to the next position, the next badge, it hooks you up on the live stream. I like that. Okay. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom of the chat, guys. We're going to start the Q&A right now. Hit me with your questions, and I'm going to do my best to answer you if I can. If I don't know, I'm not going to act like I know. I'm just going to refer you somewhere else. But if I can help, I am going to help. So let's stop this chat from moving because it's already rolling. I'm starting with... I don't see any questions yet. Let me get lower. Okay, Lewis Windsor. I'm starting with Lewis Windsor is the great winner of today's first question. Lewis Windsor says, what gallon per hour wave maker would you recommend for a 75 gallon if I'm planning on having 2 like you have recommended for African cichlids? Good question. Very easy to answer because I had African cichlids in my 75 gallon before I upgraded to this 210 back here. The top wave maker that I suggest to keep on top, angled upwards, is 1600 gallons per hour, 1600. And then the bottom wave maker I had was 800 gallons per hour. If you go to that video that my man Patrick posted in the chat, in the description of that video will be the link for both of those wave makers. Matter of fact, it might be it's going to be in the description of this video. Look down below. I think I have everything listed there too. 1600 and 800 gallons per hour. Those two will do great in the 75. Let me do something real quick, guys, before I keep going. I'm not going to lose my spot, but I'm going to move this camera to a new position. 1 second. Bear with me, guys. We're live. Let me just adjust this camera so it looks good for when I do this. Of course, I'm tangled up here. Bear with me, guys. You know how I do. Okay. How's that? Nope, don't like it. Let me move up. Okay, we got the American tank view. I just had to hook you guys up with that one real quick. Hope I didn't lose nobody. Let's keep it rolling. And now we can move like this. This is my favorite view, guys. I like to do this so you guys don't have to stare at me. You got a little bit of a scenery while we talk. Okay, that was Lewis Windsor with the question. Oh, there's another great question right before it, so I'm going to go up one. Joe Provenzano says, how do you position the intake on the sides of the glass so the wave maker pushed it directly to the intake if you have glass lids? I'm going to have to read that one more time. How do you position the intake on the sides of the glass so the wave maker pushed it directly to the intake if you have glass lids? The glass lids are irrelevant. Doesn't matter that you have glass lids. You don't need to keep your intake on the side glass. Keep your intakes on the back glass, right? And then put your wave maker that's on top, you put that on the same side that your intake is. What happens is, as it pushes water away, water returns from the bottom of the tank, and that's right where that intake is. So as water is returning to the wave maker, it pulls the detritus to it right past the intake. So that's how you want to put your intake there. It doesn't matter that you have glass lids. I have glass lids, and that's never an issue really, because my intakes are on the back. Oh, I think I understand your question. You don't need to put the intake on the side. Put it on the back glass. That way the glass tops have no issue with the glass tops. Good question though. I see some more members coming through here. I see some members. Steve Costo with the 6-month badge to Tank Boss. Yo, Kev, what's good? What's good, Steve? Oh, Steve, welcome. Thanks for coming, my man. And I think this is a new member. John Harity, welcome to the Tank Boss. John's the first Tank Boss of the day. John, you're getting one of these. Congratulations, Tom. John, congratulations, John. Thank you for joining the Tank Boss member. We'll see you on the members live soon. That was weird. It turned all my stuff blue. Is this gonna stay blue? Whoa. Okay, it did it. Good. That would not have been fun to read. All right, let's go to the next question. My man Patrick throwing the link. Anthony, yo. Thanks, bud. All right, Anthony. Winston Pratt. I don't know what that means, Winston. Let's keep it rolling. I don't want to go too far down, and it happened. This happens every single time. Okay, let me go back up real quick, guys. Bear with me because this thing has a mind of its own. No way I'm going to find it because you guys have been going crazy in this chat. It's super duper loaded. Let me just start from, I'm picking a spot. Okay. Matthew Fryer. Matthew Fryer says, what size wave maker for 70 gallon? I just talked about the 75 gallon. You could get those same wave makers for a 70 gallon. Same thing. 1600 on top, 800 on the bottom. Should be absolutely fine. Rage Hole. Wow, 4 months, cool. Oh yeah, 4 months without vacuuming. Absolutely. Try it out. You'll enjoy it. Let's see who's next. Reading. Johnny says that I said doo-doo. Sorry, Johnny. Hopefully you found that entertaining. Doug says my wave maker must suck. It's possible. If your wave maker isn't strong enough to pull all that detritus, you might need to power up. So that's very possible, yes. Jay Hauser says, go check out Kev's Crystal Clear Water book on Amazon. Listen to Jay Hauser, guys. Tiffany wants to be like me when she grows up. Thank you, Tiffany. I appreciate it. It's very easy. It's not that hard. You'll be fine. You'll be fine, Tiff. Let's keep it moving. Dan Erickson says, saw YouTube videos on cinder block stands. Saw the YouTube videos on cinder block stands? I'm planning on putting my 125 on one. Will 3 2x4s spaced 4 inches apart be enough? Wow. The front and back will be fully supported. Does the whole rim need support? That's a very detailed question. And I can't go through, the measurements of what size cinder blocks and all that. If you're going to put your tank on cinder blocks, I suggest you cover the whole base. Just get as many as you need to make sure the whole tank is sitting on top of blocks. Just to be safe. That's what I would do. I wouldn't even risk it. Cheers, Matthew Fryer. Cheers. Rebecca says, where'd you get that background? That background came from aquadecorbackgrounds.com. Go check them out. And for those of you that don't know yet, I have been waiting for a brand new background that's going to go in this 150-gallon American Cichlid tank. And guess what? It arrived today. Boom, boom, boom. I wish I had that. Them horns. Burr, burr, burr. It arrived today. So I'm going to be working on that video this weekend. Maybe next weekend or the weekend after. I'm not going to lie. Maybe 2 weekends from now. We're going to have a brand new 3D background installation in this 150-gallon American tank. Okay. Kim Possible says, my fish live like hoarders. Time to remove some clutter. That would help. Absolutely. Absolutely would help. Minimal decor will help the wave maker do its job better, which will help your filter do its job better. Craig Hopkins says, do you put the wave maker at the bottom of the tank? No. In this tank, in my 210, I only have one wave maker. If you look all the way to the far right and on top, it's a little black circle. You can see it up there. That's the only one wave maker I have in this tank. That's a 3,400 gallon per hour wave maker. The brand is Unique Life, and it's also in the description below, or you can use the master link that I'm sure the moderators have put in the chat. You can find it in my shop right there. For this size tank, that's a perfect wave maker. It's also, you can adjust the power as well. So if you don't have as big of a tank, you can reduce the power. And it has, what I really like about it is that it has night mode. So when it gets dark in here, it turns to night mode and it automatically reduces the power for nighttime, which I really like that a lot. But if you have a tank where you do want to use 2 wave makers, then one would go on the top, and on the other side, you put the other one on the bottom. Yes. Winston Pratt says, I run a can I run a can a sponge. I run a can of sponge and a wave maker on every tank with crystal clear water. No vac ever, just big water changes. My man Winston Pratt gets the high five. Pow! Hopefully that worked. I can't hear it, guys, but hopefully that worked. What did this do over here? Let me close that. These buttons do weird stuff, and I never know because it only does the weird thing when I'm actually live. When I'm testing the buttons, they don't do anything. But when I'm live and I do the buttons, crazy stuff happens. But nothing too crazy that I can't deal with. Let's keep it moving. Kim Possible, he got it from Aqua Decor. She answered my question. Thank you very much, Kim Possible. Viet Nguyen. Sorry if I butchered that name. I'm really sorry, bro. How many wave makers do we need for a big tank? Like I just said, this 210 gallon right here only got the one wave maker. So if you get it powerful enough, you only need one. What's up, Steve-O? Steve-O's in the building. Let's keep it moving. Okay, everybody's talking about wave makers. I must have went up too far and you guys are talking about when the topic was. But I'll keep moving. Let's keep moving. Winston Pratt says, I've kept peas and haps for 12 years now with 20 gallon up to 375 gallon totes. Nice. My man Winston with the veteran Winston in the house. Junior Torres says, anyone can give me a good website to get African cichlids? Yes, Junior, go check out my shop. The link is going to be in the description. Go there from the master link, go to the shop, and in the shop, click on fish. And there's the suppliers that I use that are great for online African cichlid shopping. Craig Barnes says, can I bleach my nets? I absolutely would not do that. I really wouldn't use bleach for anything at all. Even if you rinse it off, I don't care. It's just my opinion. I don't want to use it. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to risk my guys just because I want to use some bleach. I just don't do it. My opinion, guys. That's also the reason, for those of you that know that you can recharge Purigen, I don't recharge Purigen for that reason too, because I just don't want to be using bleach. I don't even want to introduce it anywhere near my tanks. God forbid, I just don't do it. Team 4KV is late, but better late than never. Winston Pratt, 1,200 gallons per hour is pretty common on big tanks. Yeah, that will work good too. Depends how big your tanks are. Jay Hauser, somebody threw that link for you already. Would this work out well on smaller or shorter tanks? I suggest that was Rage Hole. Rage Hole, I usually, when people ask me what size tank they need, I usually suggest a minimum of 30 gallons. If you're going to, less than 30 gallons, I don't think there's any wave maker small enough to not have those fish blowing all over the place. So 30 gallons is usually the minimum that I suggest. Let's go back to the big three here, guys. Let's keep it moving. Rachel, I don't have very large tanks, just 40s and 55s. Yes, those will be perfect. You can put a wave maker in those, no problem. Just make sure they're small. Check KaveMan website. Chad says my lower wave maker blows my substrate to one side. Yes, that could happen if your angle is incorrect, Chad. So try to angle it a little bit more upwards and it won't blow the substrate. Or the other option, because I used to deal with that too in my 75 when I had two wave makers. The other option is that your top wave maker, maybe make that one a little bit stronger and then don't use a bottom wave maker on the other side. That might work. But here's the tidbit, right? Give and take with everything here, guys. Here's the thing. And let's see if you can see it here. Nah, you can't really see it. But on the left side of this tank, if my camera was a little bit more to the left, what that wave maker all the way on the far right hand side does, it actually pulls the substrate from the left hand side. 6 feet away, the substrate will also start to get pulled. So what I do every water change, I have to push some of the substrate back over to the left side. That's how strong that one wave maker is. So if you're having that problem, Chad, try that. Go for the one stronger wave maker on the other side, and maybe it won't pull your substrate. Depends. Let's see. Eric Glovani Estrada Garcia. What a name, bro. I love it. Hello from Mexico. My man is in Mexico and he's here with us. Thank you, Eric, for being here. Let me get to the questions, guys. Okay, Shoaib Shike, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, dropped the best guys that I use right there. Imperial Tropicals, Coastal Cichlids, and Snake River Cichlids. Also, one more, Beantown Aquatics. Check those guys out. Those are great. Victor says, what is the best filter? That's debatable, bro. It could be any. It depends on what you like. In my opinion, the biggest, strongest, best filter right now is the FX6. It's just a monster of a filter, and it does a great job. But some people also prefer sumps. So if you're those type of people that enjoy a sump and you feel a sump does a better job, they'll say that the best filter is a sump. So to each his own. Lloyd Hodges says, how do you properly size the wave maker? I do it by trial and error. That's how I do it. I do trial and error. So I know what I use that worked good in my 75. I know what works good in the 210 and in the 150. So that's how I kind of figured it out. But I may be in the future planning to try to develop something, some kind of app that might help you guys out more with that. I don't want to say too much about it, give my ideas out, but I'm working on something. Give me some time, guys. Stephen Jeffrey says, after a water change and restarting my canister filter, the FX4, a ton of white junk comes flying out, even after I deep clean the filter. Any thoughts? It's your hoses, Steve. All that gunk is trapped inside your hoses, most likely because when you feed your fish, you're probably overfeeding a little bit. But even if you're not overfeeding, most of your food is going into the filter intake, and then it's all getting trapped inside your hoses. So if that gunk is blowing out excessively like that, take your hoses off your tank, blow them out in your faucet or with the water hose outside, blow the hoses out, all that gunk will come out, and then reinstall it back on your tank. John Boschwa, what African cichlids can I combine? I suggest, if you're a beginner, I suggest starting with peacocks and haps. Or Mbuna. It really doesn't matter which species you get, because one species, you can have two fish of the same species. One is a total butthead and one is an angel. So you can't say a species is terrible, don't get that one. You know what I mean? Or you can't say, oh, these guys are great, get this one. It doesn't work that way. I found out in my experience. I've gotten fish that are supposedly super cool and chill, and they're the ones chasing everybody around. But anyway, peas and haps, pick whatever species you like, or Mbuna. Start with that. Daniel Jeffries, I have a yellow lab and I see his color in his face. It looks a little black. What up? What up, Daniel? I don't know if that was a question or you're just saying what up, but cool. Let's keep it moving. Probably Purigen, I know what that means. Winston says the same thing. That's buildup in your canister head and hoses. Peas and haps forever. Take your hoses off and run hot water through them. I love when you guys answer the questions way before I get to them. I love it. Jules says, yes, that's correct. My man Patrick is here. 12 months. Patrick is in the building and he's got the 12-month loyalty badge. My man Patrick is getting it. Boom. Patrick with the 12-month loyalty badge. Been a member for a year, guys. That's awesome. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Did I say Patrick? That's Raheem. My bad, Raheem. I'm sorry. That's Raheem. Raheem is in the building with the 12 months. Another member, Gorin Gilks. Welcome to the fry level, Gorin. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Let's keep rolling here. Joe Provenzano, how do you position the intake? All right, I finally got back to when the question started. All right, let's skip those. Let's go. Guys, I'm never going to be all the way to the bottom because I like to give thorough answers, but I try my best not to skip any questions. So hopefully I'll get to yours. Stick around and I'll get to it. Okay, Oink Master Supreme Forever. For a 125-gallon tank with 3 Texas cichlids, 7 blood parrots. Wow. Firemouth cichlid, common pleco, blasting sand substrate, no decorations yet. What size wave maker do you think would be appropriate? So it's hard to tell you the right size for specifically 125. So the best thing I could do is tell you to get that same wave maker that I got. It's 3,400 gallons per hour, but you're not going to need to keep it at 100%. You have the ability to power it down. It's adjustable that way. And to me, I'd rather have an overpowered wave maker that I can reduce the power when I want to, because one day you get another tank or a bigger tank, you already have a wave maker powerful enough for that bigger tank. So check out that Uniclef 3400 gallons per hour. It's in the link below, and then just adjust the power until you got it where you feel it's doing a good job for you. Check that one out. Ghost 11, my man Ghost is here. Thank you for that, bro. Ash Hardy, evening Kev, UK in the house. Thank you for being here from the UK. I know it's super late, Ash. I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. Semper Fi from Stegusus Clay. Semper Fi, oorah, bro. Always faithful. Appreciate you being here, Stegusus. Doug says, I'm a member but no emoji. Doug, there's a way that you have to type the emoji, Doug, for the emoji to come out. Or click the little smiley icon on the bottom of the chat. If you click that little smiley face, then the emojis should be there too. Check that out. Kareem says, what do you think about using play sand? Kareem, I use not specifically play sand, but it's pool sand. The substrate in the American Cichlid tank is pool sand. And it's totally fine. It's super cheap, so that's really good. And it's a better color, I think, than any of the other types of sand that are made for aquariums. It's a really cool, clean color. But the reason why I have that sand in the American tank, because I don't need the sand to manipulate the pH of the water. So the play sand does nothing to change or alter the pH, the hardness of the water, which I don't need that to happen in the American Cichlid tank. So that's why I went with pool sand in there. But play sand is the same thing. You could use that too. But make sure that you clean that stuff out thoroughly, because if not, it will leave your tank cloudy for days. We got a $10 super chat in the building. Adventurous Casual with the $10. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you. KaveMan, how's it going? Pretty good. Great, nice stream so far. Thank you, bro. Would you be interested in doing a 5 or 10 gallon dirt planted tank? I'm about to start mine and would like to see how you would approach it. I wouldn't mind doing that, but right now I'm a little bit constrained to the space that I have available. I have another big 75 gallon tank behind me over there. And I have a quarantine tank in another room somewhere. So I don't want to start up any more tanks with this current space that I have. But I say that with the plans of soon in the near future upgrading the space. Okay, I'll say that. But I also plan the 75 gallon is going to start up real soon. I'm going to get that one going again too. So stay tuned for that. Appreciate the $10, bro. Thank you very much. Got that one. Matthew Fryer says, changing from gravel to sand? Question. I don't know what the question is. Yes, you can. You can absolutely change from gravel to sand. I have a whole video on exactly how I did that. Well, I didn't change gravel to sand. I changed one sand to a different sand, but same process. Check that out on the channel. Somebody might have put the link already. If they didn't, just search KaveMan Substrate and the video will pop up. I see a $20 super chat. Who did that? Frank Taylor with the Frank, thank you, bro. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you very much, Frank. Thank you for that $20. That's a big super chat. Appreciate you. Guys, I did set up a little sound to come out when super chats come in or when new members come in. Let me know if that sound is annoying or if it's too loud or if you just don't like it, and I'll get rid of it. Stat. You guys let me know. This is live. We're being interactive here, guys. You guys are definitely involved in this. Rebecca, where you get the background at? I think I answered that. I don't know if it was Rebecca. Aquariumbackgrounds.com. Check that website out, Rebecca. And Andre asks, do you refresh your Purigen? How often? I do not. I mentioned that already, just because I don't like to deal with bleach. I don't want bleach sitting around in buckets in the house, in the bathroom. I got kids running around, and I just don't want to deal with bleach. So I just replace the Purigen. It is what it is. Alex Cintron says, I have a 75 gallon, 17 cichlids. Okay. Weekly, 40% water changes. The glass gets brown spots and a few of the rocks. Water parameters are good, so what's my problem? You don't really have a problem, Alex. Those are called diatoms, and they're very, very normal in a brand new tank, in a new setup. As your tank matures, those diatoms will eventually go away on their own. It's not a big deal. Like I showed you in the last camera view, I still have a little bit of diatoms. It's not a big deal. When you do your maintenance, just scrub it away. It'll come right off. It's not really hard to scrub off. And then as your tank matures, it'll stop growing on its own. Don't sweat it. Perfectly normal. Jeff Thompson with the fishy emoji. Thank you, Jeff. Raymond says, what's the best way to clear Popeye? I usually just go with the best meds that treat external stuff on your fish, which is like General Cure, Paragard from Seachem is really good. And I think there was one more, can't think of the top of my head. If you use medications for external parasites and external bacteria for your fish, those will help. Stress Guard by Seachem will also help Popeye too. But I would definitely recommend that you remove that fish into a hospital tank just so that he's not stressed out by any other fish, and then medicate in there. But the Popeye should clear up. I would say go with Paragard first. Paragard would probably be your best bet. Casey says, any tips on Mbuna and Peacock mixed tanks? My tips is don't do that. I don't recommend mixing them, mostly because of the diet, guys. I've had some Mbuna in my tank early on, and I've lost them to Malawi bloat. Bloat is very common with African cichlids, and it's gonna especially happen to Mbuna when you're feeding high protein foods for your peacocks and haps, because the Mbuna are gonna eat it too, and that's how they're gonna get Malawi bloat. Mbunas are herbivores, in case you didn't know. They prefer a higher veggie diet over protein. So that's my number one reason why I recommend not mixing them. But there are other reasons too. Their temperaments are different. The kind of decor they need is different. But I say that knowing 100% that there's plenty of people out there that do it, and they do it successfully. Like anything else in this hobby, what works for one might not work for the other, and vice versa. But it's just my suggestion, especially for people starting out, not to mix those. Okay, let's keep it moving. Ghost11 says, I have a 75-gallon tank. Did I see that one? Yes. Ghost11 says, I have a 75-gallon tank and I want to replace my gravel with white sand. Okay. Any tips? Also, would it be fine to do it with my fish in the tank? Because I don't have another tank to put them in. Okay. Ghost, I answered this question for you already, right? Yes, you can absolutely do it. I have a whole video on how to do it. You added to the question about your fish. When I did it with the fish in the tank. And as I was doing it, as I was filming, I realized that the fish were just way too stressed out. And in hindsight now, I would suggest not doing it with the fish in the tank. It was just too stressful for them. Even if you don't have another tank, the answer is go to Home Depot and buy a $20 50-gallon tote or smaller, one of those plastic totes, put it on your floor, fill it up with tank water, and put the fish in the tote while you remove the gravel and put the new sand, and then put your fish back in when you're done. That's the best way to do it without overly stressing out your fish. Rise Sutherland says, my peacock tank. Oh, wait, $10 super chat came in from Bottled in Bond. Thank you for that super chat. Appreciate you, bro. I have a 75-gallon and truly love the tips from you. Thank you, bro. Thank you. I sip on my whiskey while admiring my clear water, all because of you and my 2 FX4s. Cheers, brother. Check out my whiskey review channel. I definitely will, Bottled in Bond. I need to remember that name, Bottled in Bond. I'm going to check it out. One of my moderators, do me a favor, send Bottled in Bond over to our chat so I remember to go check him out. Thank you for the $10, bro. Appreciate you. Let's get back to... okay, Rise Sutherland. Rise Sutherland was, my peacock tank is the smallest you recommend, 55 gallons. I have it already overstocked with peacocks, not fully grown yet. They are happy, healthy, and tank is super clean. Can you see there being a problem later? The only problem that I would see, because you said they're not fully grown yet. So right now your tank is super clean and clear. That's good. But that may change when they get fully grown. Because when they get fully grown, obviously they're going to take up more space, right? But they're also going to eat more and poop more, which is going to affect the bioload in your tank. As your fish grow, your bioload grows. So whatever filtration setup you have right now may not be sufficient. But you're okay until you start seeing signs that things aren't okay. Once you start seeing either cloudy water or you start getting spikes in ammonia or nitrite, anything like that, then start making plans to upgrade that tank. Good question though. Anthony Y says, where should I place my wave makers in a 75 gallon? One on top on the same side as your filter intake, and if you're gonna have a second one, on the other side on the bottom. I have a whole video on that. My man Patrick posted it right after you asked the question. Thank you, Patrick. Winston Pratt, Alex, bigger water changes and less light will help. Yes, less light will help too. Light only stresses fish out. It's only there for us. They don't need any light. So keep your lights at a minimum. That's also very helpful, keeping your tank water clear. Casey says, and can I keep Mbuna and OB Peacock together? I already went through that. Why I suggest that you don't do that. Alex Clinton, Winston, only 3 hours of light. That's great. I usually suggest 8 hours or less. And if you have a cloudy water problem or an algae problem, then I suggest 6 hours or less. If you're at 3 hours of lights, that's awesome. Thank you, Jules, for the link. Thank you, Patrick, for the link. Raheem, hey, hey, hey. Did I get to this one? Yes, I did. Winston says bump up to 70% water changes. Yes, I do 80% water changes, and it won't hurt your fish to bump that up to a bigger water change. But if you're not comfortable with it and your tank is doing well, then I like to say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. What is that? I've never seen this before. A $20 super sticker from my man Raymond Cruz. Thank you, Raymond. Love that little, what is that, a cat? A cat with a trophy? Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. Thank you, Raymond. Love the super sticker. Matthew Ong says, if you could pick one, wave maker or air pump? Wave maker all day, bro. All day. I'm not a fan of bubbles. And let me tell you, I do have these bubbles in my American tank. Can you see them? Yeah, you see them on the right side, guys? Those bubbles are there in this tank only because in this tank, I don't keep my wave maker on as much as in my African tank. Why? Because Flaco, my arowana, that is hiding up there. I don't know if you guys have seen him yet. I'm going to leave the camera on here for a while, guys, so you guys can check him out. He'll usually pop out in the top left corner. The arowana doesn't like the wave maker that much. I see that it seems like he tends to struggle when I have it on. So I only turn it on, like I said, right after a water change where a lot of debris is piling up. I turn it on and leave it on for like 2 hours, and it gets all the debris out of there, and then I turn it off. So because the wave maker is not what's causing that surface agitation, it's only my filter output, which you can see a little bit on that top left corner. That's what's creating the surface agitation and those bubbles on the right. That's why I have them. But if I didn't have that situation, if I could choose to always have my wave maker on, like in the African Cichlid tank, I'll choose wave maker over bubbles anytime. Good question, Matthew. I like that one. Sammy 3D says, I have been looking into setting up a no-tech tank, no filter, heater, pump, etc. Maybe using the sun as a light for some plants. White Cloud Mountain minnows. Any thoughts? That'd be super interesting, Sammy. I don't know if you will be successful at that because I don't see how you're going to get rid of the waste that's going to be in your tank. Did you say some plants? So the plants will help in eliminating some of the nitrates in your tank. The plants will help with that, but the physical particles of organics in your water will not be removed. Those physical organic material will stay in your tank, and that's going to cause heterotrophic bacteria to grow, and that's going to cause bacterial blooms. If you don't have some way of getting those organics, the physical organics out of the water, you're going to have some problems. I think. I've never tried a tank like that, so I don't have a lot of experience on that, but that's kind of how I would see it. I just don't see how you're going to get the waste, the physical waste out of the tank. But I'm curious, Sammy, if you do it and you're successful, make sure you're in my Facebook group and share some pictures with us. We'd like to know. New member in the building. Bottled in Bond became a tank boss. New tank boss, guys. Welcome to Tank Balls with the rest of us, guys. Help me welcome Bottled in Bond. Thank you, Bottled in Bond, for joining with your membership. Carlos Amador says, I got a 100-gallon tank with 20 cichlids, okay, ranging from 4 inches to 10 inches. What wave maker would you recommend? All my detritus is not reaching my intake. So you don't have I'm assuming you don't have a wave maker. I answered this question before. I'm going to give you the same answer. It's a 100-gallon tank. I'm going to give you the same answer. Go with a wave maker that's overpowered, that you can adjust the power. Because there's no like this many gallons equals this much wave maker. You know what I mean? It's just not, that information is not out there. And I know what works for my specific size tanks because of trial and error. So do that. This wave maker that I use, that's linked in the description, can adjust the power. That will be the best bet. And I'd rather have an overpowered one anyway, because most of us know eventually we might get more tanks or bigger tanks or whatever. So it's better to just have the more powerful thing anyway, just in case. Renee says, made it out? Does that mean you made it here, Renee? Welcome, Renee. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you, bro. Let's see. Alex says FX6 and Title 55. I don't know what the context of that is, Alex, because I can't remember what was said before. Sorry, bro. Winston says, I do 80 to 90% weekly, water changes weekly. I do 80% as well. Nothing wrong with that. I highly suggest all the time for people to do big water changes. So I'm with you on that one, Winston. MQTBPH says, best position of in and out of two FXs. Thanks. Okay, I think I understand your question. You have two FX6s and you want to know the position of your ins and outs. Okay, for me, what I do, let me show you what I got going on right here. I don't know if you can see both outputs, but there's one output to the left of that rock, and the other output that you can't see is hiding right behind that rock, the overhead rock on top. Excuse me, on top, the overhead rock on top. So I put my outputs kind of in the middle of the tank, but they both point in the same direction as my wave maker that's all the way on the other side. That way, all of the water across the top of the tank is flowing in the same direction. You follow? Does that make sense? And then my intakes, I have them on opposite sides in the corners. That's how I do it with two FX6s. And it works like a charm. Stuart Blake says, which canister filter should I use on my 70-gallon tank and how many? You could just use one. Now, depends on how overstocked your tank is, Stuart. If you have a moderately stocked tank, you could go with a Fluval 407. That will work absolutely fine. If you're gonna keep, African cichlids in there and you're gonna overstock, which I always advocate for overstocking African cichlid tanks, then I suggest you might as well go with a nice big FX6. For the same reasons as I said about the wave maker. Just get the bigger stuff now. If you can afford it, get it now, because you're going to actually save money. Then say, oh, I only need a FX4. Let me get that now. And then 6 months later, you get a bigger tank or you get more fish and you go, oh, now I need an FX6. You know what I mean? Just get the big stuff now. So if you're going to overstock that 70, just go to FX6 and knock it out the park. Overfiltration never hurts, guys. It's never going to hurt. Let's go to Jay Hauser. Jay Hauser, I got your email, Jay Hauser, and I sent you my address. I didn't get a reply from you, though, so let me know if you got my email, Jay Hauser. Not the best idea, but it's been done. Just be sure to absolutely watch the behavior and have a hospital tank first. Okay, you're answering KC. I don't even remember what that question was. Jen says, Kev, I just wanted to say thanks. I ended up getting more fish and upgrading to a 125, and now my tank boss is no longer harassing my frontosa. Nice. We're really happy with the tank. I'm so happy to hear that, Jen. I'm glad that I can help you out, and that's usually the best route. You give them more space and you add some more fish, and they get a little bit less aggressive. So glad to hear that your tank is doing good, Jen. We got a new member just joined us. George Gomez in the tank boss. George Gomez. Thank you, George. Welcome to the tank boss. Appreciate you. Thank you for joining the membership. We'll be seeing you in the members only live soon, my man. Let's keep going. Stephen Jeffries says, Every time I do a water change and restart my FX filter, okay, I got that one. Winston says he probably has a glass rim. I don't know what that is. Ian James says, nice tanks. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate you, bro. Where did this go? Oh, no, guys. This jumped all the way to the bottom. I swear, I got to talk to somebody on YouTube because I don't know why this thing is jumping around like that. Let me try to go up here. I'm just going to scroll really far up. Bear with me, guys, because I don't want to jump like that. I know some people have been... I know you follow each question and you're counting to when I get to yours. So when this thing jumps, I know it sucks if I just jump over people's questions. So I'm going way up here. Does a wave maker only work if you have canister filter? I'm gonna have to just pick a spot, guys. I'm sorry if I skipped it. Let's start from here. Okay, I'm gonna start from here. If I skipped your question, I'm sorry. Just ask it again, and I'll do my best to try to get to it. Mehmet Holman says, Kev, a little bit of advice. I have two messy freshwater orandas. Water quality is excellent. However, they produce so much waste, and it sits at the bottom of the tank, even though I have plenty of flow. I don't know if you caught the beginning of the stream, Mehmet, but the wave maker is gonna help with that. I don't know if I don't have a lot of experience with those type of fish, but if they're okay with some current and flow in the tank, get you a wave maker, and the wave maker is absolutely going to help with that. George Watson says, how's your silver arowana? He's doing great, but he doesn't like to come out. Is that the shot? Yes. I'm going to keep it here. He's hiding behind that tall plant in the top left over there, and sometimes he comes out. Let me see what he does. Oh, he's coming out. He's coming out. Why don't I see that far? Oh, you know what it is, guys? He's so far up at the surface, the camera's not catching the surface. Let me adjust this real quick because I do want you guys to check him out. I'm just going to raise the camera up a little bit. If I can. There he is. Whoa. Okay, how's that? Change the angle a little bit, but there he is. That's his little spot where he likes to hang out. He feels very safe in that corner because that tall plant gives him something to hide behind when he wants to swim behind it. But there he is, very active, growing a lot. He's doing super, super well. Now, let me say this now ahead of time so you guys know. That Tiger Oscar right there, that big Tiger Oscar, I have been noticing that he's starting to get a little chippy with my man Flaco, and I don't like it too much. I'm telling you guys this now, so later on, in case something happens to my man Tiger Oscar right there, I haven't even named him yet. Something happens to my man Tiger Oscar, you guys know why. Let's see right now. They're very close to each other. You see, right now, he's not paying Flaco any mind. See? Of course, because it's like they know I'm talking about them. But sometimes when it gets later and things calm down, maybe he gets bored and he starts going up into Flaco's territory and starts messing with him a little bit. But let's keep it moving. Where was that? Okay, got that. Patrick says 203 people watching. Now it's 185. Only 114 likes. Guys, hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying the stream. And if I helped you out with your question, hit that thumbs up. Jamie Forbes says, does a wave maker only work if you have a canister filter? No. It will also work with a hang-on back, but it's a little bit more difficult to create that perfect circular pattern, only because the way the water comes in from a HOB, it comes from the back of the tank to the front. It's hard to position your wave maker in the best spot because normally you want your wave maker in the same side as your intake, right? But with a HOB, the intake and where the water comes out and the wave maker is all on the same side. So the wave maker is going to crash with that water. You're going to have the wave maker crash with the water flowing in from the HOB, and you're going to get a whole bunch of micro bubbles, and that's not going to look nice. Nobody likes that. So in that case, the normal thing would be to put your wave maker on the other end, right? So that it doesn't crash right immediately with the HOB. But then your intake is on the other side. So you don't get that same kind of benefit of when the water comes back to the wave maker. So it's a little bit more tricky, but that doesn't mean you can't do it and you can't try. You could still try. That's a great question, Jamie. Junior says, how do I position my wave maker at the bottom? I think I covered that already, Junior. Hopefully you didn't miss it. Terrence Wyatt says, I have American and African cichlids in the same tank. Okay. With a pH of 7.7 to 8. Is that all right? And will Chem cichlid trace work for both origin or fish? Or will I need separate chems for both species? Cichlid trace will work absolutely fine for the Americans and for the Africans. No problem there. And if you have the Americans in there at that pH level and they're doing fine, then it's fine. Technically, you're not supposed to keep them together because of the difference in water parameters. But I know there's plenty of people that do things that are not mainstream. And I'm not going to be the one, I'm not going to be the fish police to tell you that this fish can't go with that one or you're not supposed to go with that one. You know what? It's your tank and you could do what you want with your tank. If your fish look like they're happy and they're thriving, so be it. You know, if it works, it works. If it works for you, keep it going. I have a blood parrot in my African tank. My blood parrot, Gordo, all you guys should know Gordo by now. I don't even see him. Where is he? He must be all the way on this corner. Nope, he's in that other corner. I can't spot Gordo, and that's weird because he's huge. Oh, there he is. He's up there by the wave maker. He's coming in the front of the glass. So he's not an African cichlid. He's an American cichlid, and he's not supposed to technically be in there. But guess what? He is boss in that tank, and he thrives in that tank. So I'm not gonna be the one to tell you that you can't keep Americans with Africans. Not me. Aaron Walker, replay squad. Well, guess what, Aaron? We're still live. But thanks for that. TEW 1970, welcome, bro. Kev, is it absolutely necessary to do weekly water change on a cichlid tank? Oh boy, this is a loaded question. I feel it already. Or is that just your personal preference? Would this apply for, say, a 55-gallon tank? The reason why I do weekly water changes is because the stocking levels... Why is my camera so out of focus? I don't know. This always happens, guys. Midstream. Let me just try and see if this will work. The camera just stops focusing and now it looks blurry as heck. I hate that. But anyway. What was the question? Okay, the weekly water changes. Because my African cichlid tank is so overstocked, it is going to increase and raise the nitrates very fast. When you have nitrates in your tank going that high, that quickly, the only answer is to do water changes and get them out of there. The longer those nitrates stay in the tank and the higher they rise, the more damage you're doing to your fish. So that's why I do weekly and very big 80% water changes. Now, your question was a 55-gallon. It doesn't matter what size tank that you have. That's irrelevant. What matters is how much bioload you have in your tank, how much nitrates are being created, and how fast are they being created. If you have plants in your tank that will help reduce those nitrates, that might help you not doing such frequent water changes. But like with my guys, with my Africans, I can't even look at this camera no more, guys, because it looks so fuzzy. I'm changing. With my guys, because they tear up plants. By the way, guys, those are 2 fake plants that I just installed. Let me know if you like that green. I like it. I gave the tank a little splash of green and I kind of like it. But those are fake plants. Because my guys destroy real plants. So I can't keep real plants in my tank. So I don't have the option of plants helping me reduce my nitrates. My only option is to do very frequent, very big water changes. That's why I do them. And that's why I recommend them to anyone that has an overstocked African cichlid tank. It's the best way to keep your tank clean and healthy for your fish. Let's keep it moving. My moderator's throwing in those links. I love it. Craig Hopkins says, how does a wave maker at the top help move bottom detritus? Okay, we kind of went through that, Craig, but real quick. That's the beauty of a wave maker. A wave maker is submerged underwater. So while it blows water away in the direction that you point it, water has to come back to it. And water comes back to it from the bottom and from the top. If your wave maker is positioned correctly at the top of the tank, then water can't come back to it from the top because it's already close to the surface. So all the water is going to come back to it from the bottom. All that water being pulled to it from the bottom is going to bring all that detritus with it. Follow? And that's why it's good to have your filter intake right there at the bottom on that same side, so all that detritus can go into your filter intake. That's how it does it. Where did this go? Got it. That was Craig. Also, Craig, check out the video that I have on Wave Makers. I know that link has been posted a bunch of times. It's there. Check it out after the live. Jay Hauser says Jamie Force absolutely incorrect. They will work for HOBs as well. I don't know what the context of that is. Joe Provenzo says, do you have pre-filter sponges on the intakes? I don't. It's my personal preference, guys, to not use pre-filters. Some people do, and they advocate for them a lot. But to me, it's just another thing that I have to dive into the tank and get out of there and clean more often than I need to clean my filters. I don't need the pre-filter sponge to trap detritus in it to prevent it from getting into my filter. I want the stuff to get into my filter, especially in FX6, that if everything is set up correctly, you don't have to clean out your FX6 frequently. You can go, I go 6 months plus without cleaning out my FX6s. So to me, the pre-filter is a way to prevent detritus from getting into the filter. I actually want stuff to go into the filter, so that's why I don't do it. Team Ramey says, I know you love all your Africans, but which one would you say is your prime specimen? Team Ramey, you must be new here. I say that because many ask this question, and I give everybody the same exact answer every time. I can't pick a favorite. They are all my favorites. I love them all equally. I got to figure out why every time we get deep into the live stream, this camera just stops focusing. You know what, guys? Give me 1 second. I'm going to try something really, really quick that I normally wouldn't do, but give me 1 second. Bear with me. I'm not going to keep you in dead silence here, but I am going to try to configure this video real quick without doing a whole bunch of messy stuff. Okay, that's still there, and that's still there. Let me try this, guys, and maybe this will work. That kind of worked. Focus is a little bit better. What do you guys think? I think so. Okay, see, that was quick. I didn't want to lose anybody while I'm over here adjusting camera settings, but this stuff irks me, guys. You know when you get irked? I get irked with that. But let's keep it moving. Let's keep it rolling. We've got great questions here. Oh boy, did I miss that? Get over here. $25 super chat from my man Stuart Blake. Thank you, Stuart. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you for the super chat. Thank you very much. Thank you for supporting the channel. Love that. Let's keep going. Where was my last? Got that one? Got that one? Got that one. Daniel says, that's how I have my wave maker's position. Good. Okay, S. Smiley says, I have just upgraded to a 75 from a 55-gallon tank. Congratulations on that new tank. I know it's pretty beautiful. How many American cichlids would you recommend? I want a lot of fish, but also want to make sure I don't overcrowd. That depends what kind of American cichlids you get. For example, if you get Oscars grow very, very big, and one Oscar usually needs about 75 gallons of space. So you can't, get a whole bunch of Oscars and keep them in a 75. But if you get smaller American cichlids, like, anything else that I have in this tank, you could get electric blue acaras or regular blue acaras. I have geos in there. I have severums in there. What else do I got going on in there? Green terrors in there. Any of those type of fish will do fine in a 75. But I would just say be careful with getting too many Oscars in there, because then you can easily be overcrowded for the Oscar, and the Oscar will start acting up. Booster Man says, sorry, I just joined. What was the secret of no substrate vacuuming? I'm sorry, bro. I can't go over that because a lot of people have already caught that. But you can always rewind the live stream and go back to the beginning and catch that. check that out. Or stay here with me live, and after the live stream finishes, then go catch the replay. That would be cool too. Bob H says, Kev, how is Flavor Flav? I've been away for a while, but I'm back now. Pot scrubbers, cool. Well, Bob, you have been away for a while because I announced a while back Flavor Flav is not with us anymore. He passed away a while back. He was a trooper. He fought for really long and hard. He was eating his medication, finally eating more. But whatever it was that he had, it was too overpowered for me to help him. And I couldn't get whatever parasite he had out of him. He passed a while back. He's in our memory now. But that was a while ago. Thank you for asking, though, Bob. Appreciate you. Kevin Barnes says, I lost my fish again. Parameters were all over and high ammonia, starting all over again, and pH dropped off the map. That's why right there, Kevin. If your pH drops like that, it's going to crash your cycle. And when your cycle crashes, ammonia is going to go through the roof and kill your fish. Did crush coral in my 2 HOBs, and parameters are better than ever. Okay, that is definitely going to help because the crushed coral is helping to keep your pH high and stable, and it will avoid your tank from crashing. When your pH drops too low, I forget what the amount is, either 5.0 or 6.0, somewhere when it gets down in that range, it can crash your cycle, kill all your bacteria, and you're going to have those problems. So yes, that crushed coral will absolutely help. Glad you figured it out, my man Kev. Good for you. Team Ramey says, do you think the Wavemaker calms the aggression? Absolutely. If you watch that video that I did on Wavemakers and all of its benefits, that's one of the benefits, especially with African cichlids. It is absolutely going to help with their aggression. Yes, 100%. Tiffany says, it worked. I don't know what worked, but I'm glad that it did. Anthony Y says, I love that you got a parrot in the peacock tank. I may try that one day with one of my parrots. If you do try it, just be careful. I also recommend that you go check out my video called Mixing African and American Cichlids. Check that video out because just because it's working for mine don't mean it's going to work for you. And the way that Gordo got in that tank is specific situation. So check that video out. I go over it there before you just throw a parrot in there. That's not how I did it, by the way. Let's go here. Got to that question already. Steve-O, letting Bob know about Flav. Thank you, Steve-O. Jamie says, but my intake isn't all the way at the bottom. It's like 4 or 5 inches from my substrate. Should I get a longer intake? 4 or 5 inches is fine. It doesn't have to be like right above the substrate. That's totally fine. 4 or 5 inches above, because when water goes to that side and hits that wall, it's going to travel up to the wave maker. So even if your intake is a little bit above, that's still totally fine. Think about the path of the water. It's traveling across the bottom, hits that wall, and then goes up and back around. So it's still going to reach your intake totally fine. Okay, Deborah says hello from Illinois, just joined in. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you for being here. Welcome, welcome. Kevin Barnes says 2 nights ago parameters are up and doing great now. Went over all your videos and kept calm and starting over. Glad I could help, Kev. Glad your tank is doing better. I love to hear those success stories, man. Dylan says, do you think discus need a 6-foot tank, or would a 90-gallon be okay for a group of 5 or 6 with some tetras? Love the channel. Appreciate your insight. From what I know about discus, they'd rather have a taller tank. Discus don't really need the length. They prefer a taller tank. So I don't know the dimensions of the 90-gallon that you're talking about. But if it's taller, that would be better for discus, in my opinion. That's what I see when I look at discus tanks. Most of them are tall tanks because they prefer that over left to right swimming space. A la contrary to African cichlids that prefer the left to right swimming space over the height of the tank. Great question, though. That was... I'm looking for it. That was Dylan. Thank you, Dylan. Great question. Steven Jeffrey says, hey, Kev, every time I do a water change and restart my filters... Oh, I got to that already. That was a multiple question. We got to keep an eye on those. Jamie says, how do I deal with brown algae? I think I got to that too. That's just diatoms. They'll go away on its own eventually. Deshaun Smith says, how to take dust off new bag of sand. Pour all that sand into a bucket and then take a hose from outside. Or if you don't have a hose outside, put it in your bathtub and turn the water on and fill the whole bucket up with water. And then kind of tilt the bucket over so the water spills out. Stick your hand in, mix the sand up, and let that dusty, cloudy water spill out of the bucket. Keep on doing that until that water eventually spills out nice and clear. When the water spills out nice and clear, you got all the dust out of the substrate. Now it can go into your tank. Good question. Tiffany says, how do you get rid of diatoms? I went through that. They'll go away on their own eventually as your tank matures. In the meantime, just scrub it off. No problem. Totally normal for new tanks. Jamie says, my tank is about 2 months old. Let me see. How do I deal with brown algae? Yes. Same answer to you, Jamie. Fernando is here from Portugal and it's almost midnight and my man is staying. I hope you don't got to work tomorrow, Fernando. But if you do, I appreciate that you're here. Thank you, bro. Portugal in the building. You see that, guys? I love it. Chad says, I have 2 wave makers in my 210. One on top, one on the bottom, but my wave maker seems to blow all my substrate to one side. I think I answered this for you already, Chad. Should I just move it up a little bit higher or should I angle it up? I answered that for you, Chad. Try one wave maker only on top. Answered that, KC. Uh-oh, Spanish. Guys, don't judge me. I'm going to read this Spanish comment. Don't judge me. From Noslen Cabrera. Saludos desde Austin, Texas. Descubrí tu canal hace poco y me ha ayudado mucho. Gracias. You're welcome. And thank you for putting me on the spot and making me read Spanish. Not my best. But glad I could help Noslen. Thank you very much. Oh boy. Oh boy. Kenneth Young says, love 40s, got 10. Don't know what that means, Kenneth. Oink Master Supreme is super happy to be here. Nick Zine just upgraded my 75's filtration FX6 and 407. My man. That's going to be an awesome 75. You're going to have some crystal clear water. You're doing good there. Fernando says, I have Malawi too, but only 10 fish and 4 juveniles born in Tani William C. Blue Lips. I don't know what that means, but that's cool. Let me see. Kev has a video on African Cichlid he recommends. Thank you, Jules. My moderator is hooking you guys up. I love it. Kane77 says, is it best to feed my African haps 1 or 2 times a day, the most they can eat in 5 minutes? 5 minutes is way too long, bro. You want to feed no more than 60 seconds. Because any more than that, if the food is in the tank for 5 minutes before they get rid of it, you're going to get cloudy water. That's way too long to have food in the tank. That's way too much feeding. And no, you don't have to feed them 2 times a day. You could only feed 1 time a day for adult haps, and that's more than enough. 60 seconds or less, bro. 5 minutes is way too long. Meditation Michael says, what size wave maker for a 55 gallon? For a tank that small, I would suggest my 800 gallon per hour wave maker. It's linked in the description below. Go with the 800. That should be fine. Jeff Thompson says, Purigen pouch 1 and done. Toss, install new, not worth the potential risk. I'm with you on that one, my man Jeff. 100% with you. That's what I mean by I don't want to play around with bleach anywhere near my tanks for no reason. I use the pouch. I use the pouch when it's done. Toss it. Put in a new one. Totally agree with you, my man. Kevin Barnes says, only 3 fish so far have been fighting the fight. My blood parrot and my catfish and bristlenose pleco, but lost 10 peacocks right when their colors were starting to pop. Sorry to hear that, bro. Okay, Stephen Jeffries has been asking the same question for like 20 minutes. Renee says, what's the average size of your Africans? I think the average is probably like 7, maybe 8 inches average. I have a couple 9 and 10 inches in there. And I have a couple 5 and 6 inches in there. So that's pretty much the average. That's a very unique question, Renee. I like that one. Edgar Rodriguez says, "How do I take a aggressive fish?" How do you take out an aggressive fish? I'm not understanding. How do you accept an aggressive fish? I'm sorry, Edgar. I don't really know the question that you're trying to ask. Jay Hauser says, "We're helping you out, Kev. So if you miss some, we can forgive." Thank you, Jay Hauser. Appreciate you guys helping me out. You guys know I like to give thorough answers, and sometimes the backlog can happen here. Thank you, JT On. Oh, how do I tame an aggressive fish? Edgar asks. Okay, you can't tame an aggressive fish. What you could do if you have an aggressive fish, there's a few things that you could try. One, you could try to remove that fish. Well, first, you could try putting him in like a breeder box inside the same tank. So he's basically isolated inside that box. He'll feel like something is wrong while he can't swim around, and that might help. That might not. The next step would be removing that fish from the tank, putting him into a quarantine all by himself. Give it about a week or 2 weeks so that he can forget what part of the hierarchy he had in the main tank, and then a new fish can take his old position. And then after that week or two, introduce him back into the tank all by himself. I know you guys know that I don't recommend that you add one fish at a time, but in this case, you do want to add that aggressive fish all by himself so that the fish that are above him in the hierarchy can keep him in his place. And that might work. But that's 50-50 every time. That aggressive fish might go right after whoever the boss is and try to take his position right back. So those are the only ways. Kenneth Young says, "Whatever filter works good for you." I don't know what that means, Kenneth. Julia says, "What's up, Kev? Good to be here." Thank you for being here, Julia. I appreciate you. Nicely answered, says Jay Hauser. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Jeff Thompson, always advocating for the hard plum. He loves that hard plum. Doug Metcalf says, "Kev, when you get time, we'll look at my membership. When you get time, stuff doesn't seem to work." Okay, Doug. I remember you saying you didn't have the emojis and stuff. Doug, you might not be a member at all because you don't even have a badge. What happens sometimes, Doug, is whatever you might have used for your payment at the time when you became a member may have not allowed the following month's payment to go through. So it would remove you as a member. So just try to go back into the channel. If you see a join button right next to the subscribe button, click that join button, and then you'll see a membership tab. Check the membership tab. That'll tell you if you're still a member, Doug. Jay Hauser says, "Less is more." That's usually true. Steven says, "I do overfeed. I can't help it." Thanks for the input. Appreciate it. We do that sometimes, guys. We're our own enemies with that. Especially when we're new to the hobby, we tend to overfeed. It's something that we got to get used to. Just understanding that our fish don't need that much food. Even though we love to feed them, they don't need it. Kareem Kite says, "Where do you order your tanks from? Look to buy a 150 gallon. I got both of my tanks from petswarehouse.com. But I believe that they're a franchise, but they're local to New York, I believe. And the issue is with them that they only ship the tanks to the store. So you could order whatever tank you want. They'll order for you, but then you got to go to the store and pick it up and then take it home. And I think they're only local to New York. But that's where I got my tanks from. Check them out. Petswarehouse.com. And if you get them on the phone, tell them that KaveMan sent you over there because I'm waiting for them to hook me up with some kind of coupon so I could hook you guys up. Nighthawk 4045. What is your opinion on the PetSmart combo stands cracking when they get wet? There's a lot of posts in the Facebook group about that. Yes, I have heard about that. And my opinion is that I don't really have one because I've never bought a tank or stand from PetSmart. Wait a minute. That's not true. I just got a flashback, guys. My 75-gallon marine land tank that's back there behind us is from PetSmart. And I don't have any problems with my stand chipping or breaking. and it has gotten wet. So my opinion, I can only give my opinion based on the one tank that I have from PetSmart. But I do know what you're talking about, Nighthawk. I do see a lot of those comments in the Facebook group. A lot of people have had that experience with those tanks. That's true. Patrick dropping the all-time quote. Whatever you're feeding, cut it in half. Thank you, my man, Patrick. Jay Hauser says, that's the answer I gave someone earlier in the chat. Keep the hospital tank ready. Yes. You're welcome, Chad. No problem. Chad, we're gonna get up together soon, Chad. Daniel Jeffries as Stephen Jeffries. Wonder if we're related. Possibly. You're both fish lovers. Edgar says, how do you tame aggressive cichlid? Got that? AB, we need a tank at the black table. Yes, sir. My man AB's in the building. AB, if you're still here, you're getting that applause. That's my man AB. Thank you for coming through, my dude. Raheem says half. Tiffany says, how do you know how long to keep the hose on your FX6? Mine were not cut, and I think they're too long. If you have, it's right in the instructions of your FX6 when you set it up. Fluval tells you right in the instructions that you don't want to have any slack in the hoses. You don't want them looping around or a little loop-de-loop down through and then back up or around, because you hinder the power of the motor, of the power head on it. You want very little to no slack at all. Go from the output of the canister straight up to your tank. Or if you have to go across, go straight across your tank. No to little slack in your hoses. Jeff Thompson agrees with me, says the same thing. They need no slack or dips. Yes, agreed. Chad says, why haven't you gotten a sump? Join the dark side. The reason why I haven't gotten a sump, Chad, and that's a great question, is mainly because my FX6s are doing a great job. I mean, check the tank out, guys. It's doing a great job. I mean, the American tank has a lot of glare on it, so you can't see it because the other tank is reflecting off of it. But that water is always crystal clear. The African tank is always crystal clear. And I don't touch my FX6s for 6 months plus. So to me, I don't want a sump that I have to replace the filter sock every 2 or 3 days. I don't want the chance, the possibility of that water overflowing from the sump, because a sump is an open system, and that water is freely flowing up and down. If something happens, you know what is it? Is it Murphy's Law, guys? Murphy's Law is if something can happen, it will happen. I don't know if I'm getting the correct law, but I don't want that to happen. I don't even want to test that. With canisters, it's a closed system. A canister cannot overflow. It won't overflow. I'll tell you that much. Power can go out, whatever. Canisters are designed to not ever overflow. And I prefer that. That's why I haven't gotten into a sump. And since my tanks are crystal clear and they always stay clean, and why change it? Doing good. Let's see where I was. That was Chad. Thank you, Chad, for trying to set me up with that question. Carlos says, what's a good gallon per hour wave maker for a 100-gallon tank? I've been saying to everybody, just go with a very big wave maker. 3,000 gallons per hour, 2,000 gallons per hour, but make sure it's adjustable. That way you can lower the power if you need to. Okay, I love when you guys answer each other with the same answer that I gave. It shows that I know what I'm talking about and you guys know what you're talking about. I love it. It's great. Got to that. Super chat. Got to that. That looks familiar. Yes, got to that. Bob says, what happened to Flavor Flav? Answer that, Bob. Team 4K replay squad. Hooah. Anthony Hooah. Ryan says, thanks for all the videos, Kev. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you, bro. Billy. Hey, Billy. Welcome. Cave passed away. Yep. Chad helping him out. Pool saying, got to that. Some of these questions are repeat, guys. I'm going through some of the repeat questions. I guess that you guys felt I skipped. Terrence Wyatt says crush coral and coral rocks to raise pH for cichlids. Yes, that will be absolutely great for raising the pH for your African cichlids. You don't need that for your American cichlids because you didn't specify. For African cichlids, yes, crushed coral is the way to go. Team 4K says, I only have one wave maker in a 65 gallon. Is that enough? It depends on the power of that one wave maker. But you should know if it's keeping your substrate clean, if it's getting rid of all that detritus, then yes, it is powerful enough. If you still got some dead spots in the tank and you see detritus building up somewhere and it's not moving, then no, it's not powerful enough. Hi, Ryan. Anthony Y says, I'm using Quikrete General Sand, and once it's clean, it's good to go. I don't know what kind of sand that is, but I'm glad it's good to go. Dan Coate says, would a common pleco be okay in a 60-gallon tank? For a little while, yeah. But I know why you're asking that question. Common plecos get humongous, and when they get to that big, huge size, 60-gallon might not be enough. No. But if you get them small, you have plenty of time before they'll need a bigger tank. Hey, Trucking Fish Lover. Hey, y'all. What's up, Trucking? Matthew says, would you run an HOB or canister on a 55-gallon? Either or, it's up to your preference. They both can work great. I just did a video on the Tidal 110. A Tidal 110 would be a Boss HOB for your 55-gallon. I see a super chat came in. My man Raheem with the $6.99. Thank you, Raheem. Love to see the KaveMan fam all together tonight from all over the world, especially Canada. My man Raheem is in Toronto, so he's representing Canada for all of us. Thank you, Raheem. Appreciate you, bro. Got that one. Kevin Barnes says, should I put the rest of my crushed coral mix in with my sand? I messaged, but don't think you've seen it. You can. That will not be a problem. If you like the look of that, it all depends on the kind of look that you want for your tank. It won't hurt anything. So if you like that look, sure, go ahead, mix the crushed coral. I used to have that actually in my 75. I used to have crushed coral mixed with sand, and I like that look, and it worked pretty good. Kareem's going to try pool sand. Yes, that will definitely work out for you. If you don't need your substrate to raise your pH, pool sand will work for you. Shoaib says, Kev, you can move to Connecticut near me. Thanks. Thanks for the invite. Kareem with the dab. Money Pondum says, do you recommend 55-gallon tank with HOB or canister or both HOB and canister filter? By your polyfill idea works perfectly. Glad the polyfill is working for you, Money. Like I just said, with a 55-gallon tank, you could go either or. It's preference. It's up to you. But usually what happens is that people that start off with HOBs will eventually graduate over to canister filters. It's like the next level. If you're not ready for a canister, that's fine. Go with a HOB. It'll work just as well. Joe Provenza says, I have 7.2 pH right out of the tap. Should I use Aragalive for my Africans or 7.2? Okay. It's a little tiny. You're just under the pH range that I usually recommend for African cichlids. You're just under it. So it's like, I could tell you that it's better to just leave it alone if you can. If you can actually tolerate yourself not messing with it, they should be okay there. But I also like to recommend that they be in a higher pH. For me, guys, a lot of people talk about African cichlids being bought and bred in pet stores with whatever kind of pH the pet store has. And that's fine. The fish have adjusted to that pH. But in my opinion, and from the opinion of master breeders that I've discussed this with, not coming just from me, guys, the opinion of master breeders is that you cannot change the genetics of thousands of years that these fish have just because they've been inbred a couple of generations in a pet store. They still have the same genetics, and their genetics from the African lakes are that they prefer higher pH. So, to answer your question, Joe, if you feel what I'm saying right now, that I like my African cichlids to thrive in the pH that they belong in because of their genetic code instilled in them from generations, then yes, go ahead and add that Araga Live sand. It's the best natural way to raise that pH, and your cichlids are gonna thrive in that higher pH. Believe that. Renee says, what about mixing gravel and sand? I guess you could do that, but I don't really see the benefit in that. I don't remember what kind of fish you have, Renee. If you have African cichlids, they prefer sand. But if you want that look, because you like the look of gravel and sand, I guess you could do it. But the gravel isn't really going to help anything with your water parameters. That's just a preference if you like that look. Not going to hurt. Totally up to you. Matthew says, haven't heard a sound. I don't know what that means, Matthew. Trucking Fish Lover KaveMan, what's good? What's good, Trucking? Glad you're here. Carlos says, what gallons per hour we make for a 100 gallon? I answer that. Get a big one and then reduce the power. Ryan says, how many cherry shrimp in a 10-gallon community tank is too many? I have no idea, bro. I do not keep shrimp or know anything about shrimp. Sorry, I couldn't help you. Oink Master says, do you have any aquatic snails? I do not have any snails in my tank. Oink Master. Oh, Daniel says, I was asking if you know if I notice a little black on my yellow lab, is that normal? On a yellow labs do have black on their. Is it both their I think it's the top fin and their dorsal fins. They do have a little black on their fins. That is normal. Absolutely. Michael says, awesome channel, love watching. Have you ever had electric blue Jack Dempsey's? Yes, I have. I have one right now. He's in the American Cichlid tank. Tips? I don't really have any tips for you because he's super cool and super easy to keep. I got him at like an inch in size. He usually hangs out around the bottom of the tank. So now that the camera is like pointing up, you might not see him that well. Let me see if I can spot him real quick. Okay, he's right under that piece of wood. You see him? He just right under the piece of wood in the middle. You see a little bit of blue sticking out. That's him right there. Still small. He's a slow grower. He's growing pretty slow. But he's doing really well in there. And he looks awesome. I can tell you that there is a common thing about electric blue Jack Dempsey's, that they don't live a very long life. I'm trying to change that with my guy. I want to see how long he stays with me. But that's kind of like the word about those guys. That's what I hear. Tis the Gray says, can I cure ick with aquarium salt? Aquarium salt will help ick, but there are other ways of dealing with ick that will be much better and much faster. My man Jeff Thompson has an awesome article in the Facebook group. Hopefully, I'm sure somebody posted a link to the Facebook group. Check out the files tab and you'll find an article on ick with step-by-step instructions on how to deal with ick. I don't know what that means. Rich says, hey Kev. What's up, Rich? Stuart says, which canister filter should I use on my 70-gallon tank and how many? I think I answered that, Stuart. Yes, I did. It depends on what type of fish, how many, your bioload. I did answer that. I got a super chat. $4.99 came in from John Fisher. Thank you, John. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate the helpful videos. This is my favorite channel and Facebook group. Have fixed many tank issues and made my life easier. Keep going, Kev. Love to hear that success, John. I love it when you guys give me that positive feedback and you let me know that I said something or made a video that helped you guys out. I love it. Thank you, John. Appreciate the $5. Thank you, sir. Shanmuga Sundaram Sivagnanam. I hope I didn't butcher that, bro. I'm sorry if I did, but I want to get to your question. Can I have 10 Severums and 4 Geos and 4 electric blue cars in a 125-gallon tank? I think sounds pretty good. As of now, all of them tiny 1 inch. Yes, absolutely, you can. 10 Severums. I mean, okay, they're all small now, but Severums are gonna get big, and some of them get bigger than others. My Severums are growing really fast, and they're gonna get. I could tell they're gonna be huge. But in the 125, that's still, you should be fine. With 4 electric blue cars, they can get big too. You should be fine for a really long time. As you see that they grow bigger and bigger, you'll know whether you need to have a bigger tank or not. But for right now, that 125 should be fine. Trucking Fish Lover says, KaveMan, how do I get a tank to stop smelling? Your tank is smelling because you have too many organics in your tank, or organic matter, dying, decomposing fish that may have died, that might be trapped in your tank, too much uneaten food being trapped, decomposing in your tank. All of those things are going to cause, and waste, obviously, your fish poop being trapped in your tank. All of those things are going to cause your tank to smell. Really quick and easy fix is to add activated carbon to your tank. That's going to absorb those smells and get the smell out of there. But that's kind of like a temporary fix. If you don't fix the issue of what's causing the smell, you're going to have to just always keep adding carbon to your tank to get rid of it. I also have a whole entire video on that topic. I know somebody probably put the link in the chat. If they didn't, just Google, search KaveMan smell or KaveMan stink, something like that. I hope nothing weird comes up when you search KaveMan stink. But I have a video on that. Check it out after the stream, not right now. Don't go nowhere. Let's keep it moving. Jules says, yep, join the group, the ick treatment recommendations. Yes, just like I said. Thank you, Jules. Patrick dropping the link. Appreciate you. Ash Hardy. Ash says, Kev, how long did the 150 take to fish in cycle? My 30 gallon is 6 weeks in. 6 weeks is kind of long. If you're doing my method of prime and stability daily, it should have been cycled by now. So something else has to be going on in your tank. My 150 did take probably about 3 weeks to fully cycle. But keep in mind, Ash, that if you're doing the prime daily, like I recommend that you do to keep the water safe, prime shows up on your tests as ammonia. So keep that in mind when you're testing your tank and you think that it's not cycled yet, because you're adding so much prime daily. It can show up as ammonia, and you might be thinking to yourself, why is this ammonia still in my tank? It could be the prime. So you gotta kind of play with it and figure out when to reduce your prime in the tank, and then do a test a couple hours later and see if the results in the test adjust. That'll tell you that what it's really reading is the prime showing up as ammonia in your test. So try that. Also, Ash, make sure that you have very good surface agitation in your tank. Your tank has to be very well oxygenated to get the bacteria to grow. Sagrav says, do I need a wave maker with 35 gallons? You never need a wave maker. It's not a need. It's just a benefit if you choose to have it. You can have one in a 35 gallon tank. Just make sure it's really small so you're not blowing your fish around and they're not smacking against the glass or something like that. Dan Cole says, any tips to get rid of black beard algae? Hydrogen peroxide. I have heard of people that use hydrogen peroxide, but I'm not too thrilled with that. I'm not too experienced with that, so I don't know all the ins and outs or the dosing amounts for that. With any algae, even as bad as blackbeard algae, the situation is pretty much going to be the same, because it's you're giving too much of what they want is in the tank, be it food and be it light. So if you stopped feeding for a couple of days, you know what? Maybe you stop feeding for like a week, and then keep the lights completely out in your tank. Maybe even throw a blanket over your tank and leave it totally blacked out in the dark for a couple of days, and don't feed for a couple of days. Well, let me rewind just a little bit. Before you do all of that, try to scrub as much as that algae off first. Then do the blackout, no feeding, no light for like a week, and then you'll see the improvement in your tank. And with that improvement that you see, then you know that the issue is that you got too much silicates, too much phosphates going on in your tank, and that's why you're growing that algae. Fana says, what's a good size tank for Oscar fish? One Oscar needs a minimum of 75 gallons. 2 Oscar fish, a minimum of 125 gallons. Edgar, how do you tame an aggressive Mbuna cichlid so he doesn't fight with the other fish to try and establish his dominance? I think I answered that exact question earlier, Edgar. Sagrov said also, how many fish can I put in a 35 gallon? It depends what kind of fish. If it's little tiny little fish, I can't think of a name of a tiny fish right now, you can put a whole bunch of them. If it's African cichlids, the number is 0. So it depends on your fish. Guppies. I don't know why I couldn't think of guppies. If it's guppies that you're keeping, you can keep a bunch of guppies in there. That's why the fish matter. George Gomez says, any discount codes for fish suppliers? Yes, they're in my Facebook group. Go check out the Facebook group. They're in the Facebook group and they're in my shop. I don't remember the codes off the top of my head. That's why I send you guys over there. But check that out. What time is it, guys? I haven't even looked at the clock in like forever. Let me check the time. Oh, man. Really? I love it when things go fast. And there's so many of you still here. I love it. $20 super chat. Did I miss that? Mr. Dixon with the $20 super chat. Thank you, sir. Hey, Kev, love your videos. I have a 125 overstocked with both Americans and Africans. I bought them all before I did my research. Since I got a new heater, I've noticed tons of babies growing out. What do you suggest I do? Well, if you want to keep those babies, you need to get them out of there, because if not, they're going to just be food for everybody else. If you don't want them necessarily, if you don't want to set up a new tank for those fry, then just let it be. You know, let the circle of life happen, and they'll get eaten. So that depends on what you want to do with it, Mr. Dixon. If you do want to keep those fry, you got to set up a fry tank. You got to get those fish out of there and have them grow out in a separate tank. Thank you for that $20 though, bro. I appreciate you. Da-da-da. Anthony says, time for work. Enjoyed the live stream, KaveMan. Let's go. Go do a good job. I appreciate you being here while you're working or just before work. Thank you, Anthony. Joe's Shirt Closet says, how long can my fish breathe air for until it needs to go back in the water? Oh, because I have goldfish and just wanted to hear your advice. I don't know what the technical answer of that is. And I'm sure it's probably different for every species of fish. But I can't answer that. I don't know the answer because I don't tend to leave my fish out of water for any reason whatsoever. I think the longest I've ever kept the fish out of water is when I was physically injecting medication into the mouth to reach the gut. And that fish was out of water for like 30 seconds. And I was already panicking. I was like, get him back in. But I really couldn't tell you because I don't ever keep them out of water. Um, 9J Dilla says, what if my nitrates haven't gone away? It's been 4 months. Your nitrates aren't ever going to go away. You're always going to have nitrates in your tank, unless you have a super heavily planted tank and, some kind of media. I'm choosing my words correctly here because I don't want to act or say that there's media out there that can reduce nitrates, because many claim to do that and the judgment is still out. But normally you're not going to ever not have nitrates in your tank. They're always going to be there. The way that you remove those nitrates is by doing water changes. Water changes is what's going to remove the nitrates from your tank. That is a question. Who asked that? That was 9J Dilla. That sounds like a question like if you're very new to the hobby. I'm just assuming. If you're not, don't take offense to it. But if you're this new to the hobby with that question, if you're a beginner, I highly suggest you go check out my beginners playlist. Almost all the videos in that playlist are perfect for you, and they're definitely going to help you out. So check that out. Sean Otto made it to the live stream. Thank you, Sean. I know you're going through a lot, Sean, and I don't want to put your business out there if you don't want to put it out there, but I appreciate you being here, bro. Thank you for coming, Sean. I see a $5 super chat came in from N1NO. Hey, Kev, do fish get tired if the wave makers are too strong in the tank? It depends what kind of fish you have. If you have fish that like the current and flow, like my African cichlids over here, no, they don't get tired. They love it. They love swimming in it, and I keep it on 24/7, and they love it. But if you have fish that don't like current and flow, then yeah, they are going to get tired because they don't like it, because they don't want it. But fish that do want it, they'll be fine with it. Good question, N1NO. Or is that Nino? Good question, Nino. Jamal says, how does the beneficial bacteria stay in the eco-complete sand? Does it stay forever? You will always have beneficial bacteria growing in your sand, in your substrate, no matter what it is. I don't know if you're asking about how does it stay in that specific sand. These manufacturers know how to seed the sand, and they keep it wet and they ship it wet, and in the bag is kind of moist to keep the bacteria alive. So they know what they're doing for that specific sand to arrive with beneficial bacteria in it. But if you're talking about just in general in a tank, bacteria grows on all of your surfaces. The surface of your substrate always has beneficial bacteria on it because they have that surface to attach themselves to, and there's a good oxygen flow in your tank. That's how the bacteria stay there, get there, grow there, and live there. Does it stay forever? Yes, unless you manipulate your sand too much and you kill them off by disturbing them too much, then they'll die off. But they will regrow. They'll reproduce and regrow. Richard Martinez says, how fast can Oscars grow? Very fast. They grow very fast. This guy, I wish I had a better timetable for you, bro. I'm terrible with dates, but you see that big, huge tiger Oscar? I think I've only had him for a few months. You know, it definitely hasn't been a year. It's only been a few months, and I got him at like, I don't know, 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, and he's huge. Oscars grow very quickly. So if you're planning on keeping an Oscar in a small tank, and for the purpose of eventually getting a bigger tank for him, that purpose is gonna come much sooner rather than later. If that's what your question means. Okay, answer that question. Oh, $20 came in super chat. Mr. Dixon with another $20. Thank you, bro. Kev, love your videos. Is this a double? This came again. Sounds like the same question. I have 125 overstock with both Americans. I bought them before I did my research. I got to know those babies growing up. I think I answered this exact question, Mr. Dixon. I did definitely answer this exact question, but the $20 came in again. Maybe it was just a duplicate. I don't know. I'm not sure. Dei says HOB versus canister. Canister filters are going to always be stronger and better than an HOB, but if you're not ready to upgrade to a canister, there's nothing wrong with a good HOB. There are HOBs out there that do a great job. One specifically is the CChem title. Yes, I am a CChem ambassador, but I guarantee you the title blows all these other HOBs out of the water. So stick with the HOB until you're ready for a canister. And when you're ready for a canister, you won't go back to an HOB. Ads Garage says, I'm late. Better late than never. Thank you for coming, Ads Garage. We'll definitely watch the replay. Good. Greetings, Kev, from the land of the rising sun. What land is that? The land of the rising sun. You lost me on that one. I don't know what land that is, but I'm glad you're here, bro. Jay Hauser, small tanks, HOBs, medium, larger tanks, canister is not a bad idea. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yep. M. Oski says, what's the best levels for LED light per spectrum color? Wow. I have issues with micronutrients being consumed by the light. What color is doing this? I have 29 gallon using Fluval 2 low light planted tank. I can't tell you which color specifically is going to cause something like that. But what I can tell you is that it's just the light in general, bro. Light in general, no matter what color it is going to cause those micronutrients that you're talking about. It's going to cause those heterotrophic bacteria to grow and be seen. The light's going to shine on them and make them look even more. So just reduce your light in general. Just keep the lights on less, and that'll help. J Peach says, will a Fluval 407 filter a 55-gallon standard properly? Yes, a Fluval 407 is more than enough for a 55-gallon. Absolutely. 9J Dilla says, I've tested my water and still nitrites. Sorry, still present and high. Okay, if you have nitrites in your tank, that means that your tank isn't cycled yet. It has not completed the cycle. That's why you have nitrites in there. Dose your tank with prime to detoxify those nitrites to make the water safe for your fish. And also dose with stability to help boost your bacteria production. That will help get your tank cycled. Stop doing water changes if you're doing them. Don't do any more water changes until your nitrates reach about 40 parts per million. And then do your water change and then test again, see if those nitrates are still there. If the nitrates are still there, then continue prime and stability daily. Check out my videos on ammonia spike and on fish in cycles. I got plenty of videos that go in detail on exactly how to do it. Team 4KV says, is it a bad idea having juvenile blood parrots with OB peacocks? It's a bad idea in general because they're not really technically supposed to be with each other. And if your OB peacocks are not juveniles and they're adults or they're closer to adult size, they're going to probably most likely beat up on those juvenile blood parrots. Blood parrots are not, they do not have the temperament that African cichlids have. They're much more timid. And the way I got mine to work was that my guy Gordo was the biggest fish in the tank when I started adding African cichlids. That's kind of one of the many reasons why it worked out. So I wouldn't suggest throwing some juvenile blood parrots in with adult OB peacocks. No, wouldn't suggest that. Jay Houser says, get rid of the 2 Marine Land 450s off and add on the canister. You could do that. That would definitely be helpful. $5 super chat came in from Fishy Biz Aquatics is here with us. Thank you for being here, Fishy Biz. Love the channel and the African cichlid content. And title HOBs are the bomb. I told you guys, it's not just me saying it. Great review you had too. Keep rocking. Thank you, Fishy Biz. Thank you for being here. And thank you for that $5, my man. I appreciate you. Jules says the same thing. The tank isn't cycled. Thank you, Jules. Bronx Bomber says, what's your secret to removing tannins from the wood? It's not really a secret. Many people know this. Before you add the wood to your tank, you want to... First, you could try boiling it, right? Boil your wood as much as you can for about 20, 30 minutes. Give it a good boil. If you could fit it in a pot, you know, if the wood is that size, you could put it on a pot and boil it. But even after that, or even if you can't do that, you need to soak that wood for 24 hours plus. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days if you can. The longer you soak it, the more tannins will come out of it, and then you can add it to your tank. It may even still have some tannins in it, but then with water changes, it'll eventually all come out. As you can see in the American tank, there's no tannins in there at all, but that wood was leaching for a while when I first got it, but it eventually all came out. Sean Otto says, what do you think of using pothos for nitrites? Pothos aren't going to do anything for your nitrites, but pothos is awesome for nitrates. Pothos is one of the best plants that you could have inside your tank to help reduce your nitrates, which is what you want. The nitrites are going to be removed by your beneficial bacteria. Once it turns into nitrates, then the pothos is super beneficial. Terra says, I'm 5 minutes away from moving my Oscar to a 125 gallon. Okay. Please tell me how I can do this safely. Make sure your 125 gallon is cycled. The water parameters in the 125 match the tank that the Oscar is already in. And just pick them up with a net and move them over. If your 125 isn't set up, if that's your question, like how to set up your 125, there's a whole bunch of things that you got to go through. It'll be really long for me to tell you all that right now. I have an entire video on upgrading your tank. Search for KaveMan upgrade, something like that. KaveMan upgrade, and check that video out. It'll definitely be helpful for you. Odell says, good night from Trinidad and Tobago. Good night, Odell. Thank you for being here. Let me see, guys, if we're at 8 o'clock, because if we are, it's 8 o'clock, guys. I'm scrolling all the way to the bottom. because it's time to wrap this one up because the kids are about to get home and things go crazy when the kids get home. So let me just make sure I didn't miss anything at the bottom of the chat. You guys are still chatting away and I love it. I love it. Guys, it's 8 o'clock, so I'm going to wrap it up. There's still 170 of you guys here. I can't believe it. Thank you all for sticking with me, for hanging out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you have fun here. I hope I answered some of your questions. If I didn't get to your question, I'm sorry. But as you can see, there's a lot, and I like to give detailed answers. Hopefully, answering other people's questions might have answered some questions you didn't even know you had. But either way, thanks for being with me. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate all you guys. We'll do another one next month in the new year. Hopefully, you guys can all make it to that one. See ya next year, maybe. Or next week in the video. Thanks for coming out, guys. Later. How do I end this thing? Oh, yeah.